We have basically a little display now. Let's jazz it up a little bit. Let's say I want to put a picture on it. Let's put some school spirit into this. Um, so, um, how do I add a picture to my display? Well, let's just say we're going to put a picture on the bottom just to keep it simple and not get super uh, into fancy layouts and whatnot. So I want to have, let's say, our mascot here. Uh, And so the image of the mascot is out there for you. So the little component we want from TK is called photo image. And for the photo image, again, you can see there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. Well, I'm going to point to a file, and the file is in the folder. It's called logo.png. And so if you open up here and just do a star, and you can see logo.png is in the folder right here along with my code, and we'll come back to the GUI plan later on. Um, so this here loads that picture into our display, but the actual mascot here needs to be put into something like a label. You can there's various ways to make this happen, but we're going to put it into a label to give some flexibility. And so the label uh, is going to go into the window itself for now. And the image inside of the label is going to be the mascot image. And then we can set the size of this if we want to, but we'll come back to that in just a second. And then let's just say mascot.pack and see what happens real quick. So can we do grid and pack together? Let's see if that works. Nope, it didn't like that, right? We've already set up the pack. We've already set up the grid, and so the grid and the pack, they don't like to each other real well. So I could, I guess, do a grid where I say row is equal to 1. I'm sorry, 2, because we've already done row 1 up there. And we can see what that happens. So we can't combine row and pack, but we can maybe do this. Okay, so there's a big old uh, mascot right there. But now notice what happened. All of a sudden, our text box is all the way out here. Not super desirable there, right? So there's a number of things we can do. I mean, I don't really want that logo to be that big to begin with, but there's a number of things we can do to fix this. So there's not a right answer here. Let's play with it, but let's as I said, let's play with the size of this. Let's do a super focused in on this image here. Let's just say the image width is going to be, let's say 320, and its height is going to be 160. Just something to make it a little bit more compact on most of your screens. Okay, so that didn't quite fix the problem, right? So I now have the image, and it's now all the way in just the first one. So it's kind of good, and it kind of centered that image, which is kind of nice. I like the focus of that. But this is where tinkering is important. So I can say row, column, span is equal to 2, for example. Um, let's try that. Okay, that's not bad. It's good. It's kind of everything's kind of packed together, but it's not bad. It's working for what we have going on here. And again, the button still works, and everything still is happy. But let me show you another feature while we're here. Putting pictures on is pretty nice, but there's also this notion called a frame. Um, a frame is a way of creating kind of a subcomponent on a screen. So let's say if we come all the way up to the top here, let's say we have a encouragement frame. So I'm calling it encouragement as the way of cheering. It's going to be all the encouragement stuff that's going to go on the encouragement frame. And that's going to be a frame that fits into the window that we're working on. So as we create this encouragement frame, it allows us to redirect all the things we were originally putting on the window that we now want to be a part of this subframe. So that way I don't have to have, I put the button on there as well, I don't have to have everything be on one grid. So what that allows me to do is instead of having to figure out the column span, because like let's say for example, as we tweak our encouragement frame, we want to have validation messages. We want to add another column out there. We want to have 3 or 4 or 5 columns inside of there. Instead of having to mess with the column span every time, this is unrelated to that frame. This allows me to put a pack down here. And likewise, I can do up here, encouragement frame.pack, and I tweak my display around a bit. Now, again, I probably did this without making any errors. I do want to be sympathetic to the fact that you might not be able to type that fast. So don't, worry about the concept, then come back and pause this and fix the code. Make sure you're making this code work. But notice what happened here is now I have all of this stuff is now part of this encouragement frame that lives up here. And the mascot image is packed in separately. And so I can put each of these pieces as their own bit. So if you think about it, again, let me go back to Paint here. If I take a picture of this, do a little print screen, and I toss it over here, what I've done is I've created a component all on its own that I'm showing in the black here. Let me change that to be red just to show you that text. And inside of this component, just made it orange. There you go. I have this grid that's going on. But that grid doesn't have to extend down to the rest of it. I have these 2 pieces, and then we'll actually play with this idea of drawing this up in a bit. This is something you're going to do for points on a lot of these GUI assignments, but you'll do it ahead of time. I'm just showing you doing it retroactively. And so this helps us lay out our display in ways where you don't have to imagine the whole thing at once. We can say, well, this is a little piece, which is this input. This is another piece, which is the big picture here. So make this happen. Get your mascot image set up. Throw that image into a label. Just throw it onto the GUI as we did before, and then switch it around. Create your encouragement frame, and then move these things around. Now, if you mess this up, if you accidentally leave, the window here on accident, it's going to give you an error. You can't do pack and grid at the same time. Whichever one comes first takes over. So it allows you to be able to see these errors and try to understand what they mean. But then here is the example code. Leave this up here. You can pause this. You can make this happen. But don't just simply type in the code. Understand what the error comes from. Make those errors, see those errors, fix those errors. That's the most important training at this point. But again, what we're shooting for is to have this multi-part display that has images and text and is using frames. So go make that happen.